Yeah. And Steve Shaw comment. He asked, "What are your thoughts on competitive fishing becoming an Olympic sport?"
I'm a huge fan, and that's why I'm wearing. Oh, wrong side. That's why I'm wearing this. That's the official logo of Canada Bass. So Canada Bass was we formed Canada Bass, and we formed. I sit on the board of directors, the Canadian International Sport Fishing Association, and that's the international governing body that organizes our international fishing. So the two governing bodies that facilitate international fishing competitions, whether it's fly fishing, saltwater fishing, bass fishing, kayak fishing, they're making a strong move towards becoming an Olympic sport. And some of you might not know that 100 years ago, fishing was part of the Olympics. Like it was. Spear fishing was part of the Olympics. It was a big piece of it. So the interesting thing is fishing is an activity that's shared by people all over the world. It's not just bass fishermen. Like my love is bass fishing. I'm a competitive bass fisherman. I love to compete. I love to take people bass fishing. I love that there's an infinite amount of ways to catch a bass. But some people feel the same way that I feel about musky fishing or fly fishing or float fishing in the rivers and creeks. So when you start to separate fishing, it's like rock and roll. Like you've got rock and roll, and then you've got all your subgenres of rock and roll, right? You've got hard rock, soft rock, you've got alternate, you've got punk rock. Fishing's a lot like that with all these little subgenres of fishing. So we've formed an international governing body. I wish I could give you more information on the when and the whereabouts, other than we're representing Canada. We're going to these international competitions. We're fishing against the best guys in the world, like Team USA. Like we fish against Scott Martin and David Dudley and Brian Latimer and Mark Daniels Jr. and Mark Rose and like all the top guys you see on tour. We're competing against them, Freddie Rombanis and James Watson. So, we were in Mexico with those guys going head to head. So, they came up to here and fished. Team USA came up to fish in Cornwall and St. Francis, and Team Canada took gold. And it was pretty cool. It's pretty it's a pretty nice feeling to be able to do something you love. Like I was just a scrawny kid that liked to ride his bike to the creek to go fishing. Like that was my fun growing up. And there was a lot of naysayers when I came up. People said you can't make a living fishing, and you can't, and I went after a guide business. I work in tourism, and I compete. And I literally, just before this show started, Andrew, I was on a Zoom call with 50 other professionals that are fishing in the Canadian Open on Lake Simcoe in 2 weeks. So,
wow.
Yeah, Corey and Chris Johnson, Bob Azumi, Brian Hughes, Cal Clemson, Scotty Mearson, Mike Laughlin, like some of the best games in the sport in Canada were in the meeting. And, we're all going to face off in a pro-am format, minus the amateurs. We can't do that because of the social distancing rules this year. But so if you guys want to follow something really cool, next weekend is the Canadian Open of Fishing, and it's hosted by the Canadian Pro Bass Tour, the CSFL, and Andy Pilata is a huge supporter of Ontario Fishing Club and Bass Freaks and all the other fishing freaks out there. And that's where all the guys are going to be. All the top dogs are going to be at Civil Provincial Park chasing down that title. So I hope fishing makes it internationally. I mean, it's growing. We're competing against teams from Portugal and South Africa. I fished against a bass fishing team from Zimbabwe. Like there's bass fishing all over the world. So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds. It may not happen in my lifetime. It might. I don't know. I'm going to keep doing my part.